Hey guys, so today I have a 660 Rhino 2006 model with the brake. The only back brake is on the drive shaft here. There's a part brake on it too, and the caliper is leaking fluid due to it's stuck, and the rotor got hot, as you can sort of tell there from the surface of it. Caused it to melt, but seals out of the caliper. So today I'm working on removing all of that, the drive shaft and caliper and rotor there, to get it all took apart to put the new caliper and rotor on, brake pads. And so far I've just got the little plastic plate, skid plate off. There's 3 bolts in the front there, you can see 2 in the center sort of area, and there's 3 in the back side of it. And so far that's all I've got. So I'll go ahead and I'll get the caliper took off. Yeah, so I have the caliper bolts out, but I was going to show you their position. There's one right here. They're 14 millimeter head, and there's one just below. If you do it by feel, you can see that spring brake assembly there. That's your actual part brake lever cable, and right below it with a ratchet with a shallow 14, you can feel it. I just took my arm under while I was over top of the tire to get on it and take it loose, so I didn't have to fight with it as much as crawling under. And so now I'm ready to take the caliper off, and then I'm going to take the rear axle or rear differential bolts out. So I'll slide it back, try to get that drive shaft out. So we'll see you after that. Alright, so I got my new caliper today from Rocky Mountain. It has the brake pads in and everything, like I said, already all hardware set up as far as that is. Got the new banjo bolt, bleeder bolt. Got your new crush fittings for your bleeder, or not your bleeder, but your banjo fitting there. The only thing is, it does not come with the part brake piece on it. It comes with a cap though, and these are 6 millimeter bolts in this one. So you'll have to take that cap off and put your part brake on it. Mine is still on the machine. So I can get a good video over here. But there you can see it. So that is a 12 millimeter there for your banjo bolt. That's 12 millimeter for your mountain bolts for your part brake also. Probably pretty easy to just take it off while it's on the machine and change it. But I'm going to take it off, just cause it'd be a little bit easier on me. So what you gotta do is you gotta undo that spring right there. Just slide it out of that hole. You can see the open end there. Focus. There we go. And then that will slide up. Your actual part brake piece will slide up. And you just lift that cable out towards the center there. See their sort of open spot. And it slides out that way. And then it'll just come out of that part. Just slide straight out. You don't have to undo nothing else. And undo that banjo bolt and get it off. And you'll have it out of there. So I'm going to do that and see what it takes to transfer my stuff over to the new one. Alright, so I got my old caliper off now. There's again just 2 12 millimeter bolts here to take this cap off. Also, I have an edit on my bracket here. That's the wrong piece. On my bracket here, when I remove this, when you take the spring off, slide this back. It gives you slack in this end, so you pull that little end out, then slide it out, towards through this slit out, the cable, and then it gives you enough room to pull the whole thing up this way, then slide it out of that little notch. I thought it was the other way, my bad. But here is the ends of the calipers and what they look like there. I mean, from what I looked at, the end here will line up the same either way. All it's got to do is hit on the end, and you see here when you're in that, it pushes that out, and it'll push on that, and then it'll push on this here and inside that. I don't know, I guess my caliper was leaking from here from the looks of it with all the fluid and contamination. I don't know, it was leaking. So anyways, I wouldn't use the bolts that came with the new one and in this cap, as they're a lot shorter. But the bolt holes seem to be the same length in this. So I'd use your factory bolts you took out to put back in there with your cap. with your cap down in here. So we'll do that right quick and see how she mounts up. So first thing was I had to take this bracket off. This is your slides in the mountain hole brackets. These holes are actually smaller than the bolts that come out of it, but it's the same slides and stuff as far as how long they are and how wide these are. But the bracket's totally different. The old bracket even had a top piece like this that went up above the caliper and over. So I just switched them out, and I just switched my bleeder screw and the bleeder screw and the just regular banjo bolt there. I just switched them around. Apparently they must work because it's not leaking. It looked like it. Both of them had the jam down in there to tighten the bleeder. That has a nut inside of it as a yoke, and so that stays with the differential unless you take that nut out of the center, which you have to take the drive shaft out anyways to get to. So that's no big deal. We got the drive shaft out, got the rotor off. It's 4mm Allen heads with a 10mm wrench on it. I'm sorry, it's a 5mm Allen wrench with 10mm nuts on the back. They're lock nuts. So as you can see, there's one of the bolt holes, and there's the other set for this differential bolts. I also got a jack under it. That makes it easier, takes all the tension off the axles and stuff, so it's not just sitting there. Well, I found the easiest way was once I got the differential, as you can see there, the hole's not lined up, got it pushed back, was to push back towards the rear of the vehicle this way to get it to pop out of the engine first, and then raise it up and pull it out of the back differential where the differential was loose. You can see here is my rotor has been damaged and from the heat. It's got some pretty good skies in it there. There's only 6 bolts holding that in. You know, right there you can see the holes. I guess that's just like to dissipate heat. Also on this drive shaft here, I was telling you about pushing in or pulling out so you pull it out of the engine. 2 things to watch out for on that. One, this is the engine side of the drive shaft, and this spring sets back in there. I assume to hold pressure back to the diff to hold the drive shaft in, sort of hold tension on it so it ain't just chattering or such all the time. And on the back side, there's this little rubber, I assume it's like a spacer to keep it from bottoming out against that nut that holds that yoke on. That's a rubber piece again. And I just make sure you have both those and they don't fall out. Alright, so when you're bleeding it, I got my caliper on. I'll have a few more things on it in a minute, what I had to do to get it to work. Had to fight with it a little bit. No big deal. But this is your brake fluid reservoir. And what you're going to want to do is just take that cap off when you're bleeding it. You want to make sure it's full too, obviously. But just leave the cap off so it bleeds easier. You can buy brake bleeders at the local auto parts store. I have one. It didn't really work that well, so I had to have somebody just give me a hand right quick to do it. But just make sure you keep that full. Then obviously when you get done filled up, make sure that cap is on there good. I don't want to get junk in there. So let's do that.